Us everyone. I trust everyone's well. Welcome to the Kyokushin Shuffle. And how cool is this? We continue on with Forever the Coach series, and we continue to grow our knowledge and more so the experience of so many Australians / people around the world that have so much to offer. And this gentleman here, this coach, this sensei, has given us out his time once again. Coach, Sensei Carnage Corbett, how are you? Thanks for your time once again.
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you. And it's always good to be back on Aussie time on air back there for all the Australians. And of course, I'm in America here in Huntington Beach. Can't get back home right now. Can't even visit, but hopefully soon enough we can beat this COVID.
Well, there you have it, so you've obviously spent a lot of time since we last spoke to you, but you've kept yourself immensely busy. For everyone, be sure to follow Carnage on his socials, because he's putting absolute gold out there for so many of us in the martial arts world in just understanding, this angle. And this is why I wanted to have a chat to you. You're in this coaching language now. You're keeping yourself very, very busy over there with so much. How things going? Let's just break the ice on that side of it with how it's been since we last spoke to you.
Yeah, no, things are starting to heat up a little bit more over here in my world. Like, of course, late last year and middle of last year was a little bit dry. People were too afraid to sort of step out of their houses. So we're opening up a lot more here. We've started a new fight gym here, Rising Suns Thai Boxing. One of my good friends opened it up and asked me to come along and be a part of it. So I'm teaching there, coaching classes now, which has been super fun, to get back in front of more or less, I guess, a group of people versus just personal training one-on-one, which I still do, one-on-one clients for those who want to do that. But it's just been really enjoyable for me to step in front of a class sort of scenario and lead these people. So it's been good. That opened up in January. Back on Line Fight now, which is super exciting. We're back on TV, which is we're on a new platform now, which is the UFC Fight Pass, which for Muay Thai, that's such a big stage to be on, because we're now airing live globally to all countries around the world. So that's super exciting.
Well, there you have it. That's unreal. So well done to you on that. And so, to get your time today, we always try to keep it as best we can and appreciate what you've got in front of you. So my angle here with you is to discuss, what an experience you've had as an athlete, as a fighter, as one of the best ever in the sport and in martial arts. And now you're different hat, and wearing that coaching hat and seeing the, I guess, language adjust and evolve. So just to kick this off, when you were coming through your ranks and as you were doing, such an amazing job with your success, you shared so much to us in your last time we spoke. What were some of the key things that you took, or were those the mentorship and involvement of a coach while you were coming through? How important were they, and what were some of the key moments that you had even when you were competing?
Yeah, so I guess going back to the key moments from my time as a student, having senseis, having coaches, pour into my life at that time. I think some of the most valuable points that I'm taking away, I guess, even away from the technique that we learn in martial arts, it's really about the etiquette. Tonight I just had 16 students on the floor who were in a Thai boxing gym, who none of them really know anything about martial arts etiquette. And you only know what you know. So there's no fault of them to not know the respect and stuff that we know, especially when it comes to karate and a tradition around bowing to your sensei and your elders. So I had them all tonight lining up in a straight line. I taught them about etiquette. I taught them about, the discipline, the structure, and how that structure brings strength to themselves, even though it's not a moving part as far as physical technique. It just brings structure. I got them to close their eyes to create stillness, to allow themselves to have that hour to themselves in the gym. So The
Yeah.
things that I go back to, of course, I have techniques, and I'm developing in the next few months my elbow system, which is going to be filmed. I'm going to be, selling that online all over the world.
Nice.
So it's going to be great for everyone to have that
Look out.
physical, technical content. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the question you asked me is, the things growing up, that are really life-changing, disciplines and life-changing teachings, are those things from the martial arts when it comes to integrity, respect, bowing, honoring your teacher, and having not a fear for them, but just a respect for them to the level that, you don't want to upset them, you don't want to let them down. And
Yeah.
by creating that gap, by creating that respect for the teacher, actually what that does for the student is it empowers the student to, when they're feeling weak, to fight for the higher person, to fight for their sensei or coach.
Yeah. Good call.
It gives them the opportunity to, fight for something bigger than themselves. So the thing about having that respect and having that student show that respect is that actually the empowerment is more for the student than it is for the teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point.
In that is actually more for this. Yeah.
Yeah, because we use the word kohai, and you've understood it, and that is a perfect way of putting it, and instilling it. And how good is it for many that I guess for 20 years or so, and someone like yourself, when you're doing it consistently, day in, day out, at a class, and it just continues and grows and grows and grows.
That's right. You start to learn, boundaries, you start to learn respect, you start to learn morals, and you start to learn the respect is bringing you goodness to your life. It's not bringing someone being a dictator to your life. It's bringing goodness. It's bringing, you're not being submissive to someone, but yet you're being respectful enough to allow them to, empower you. And by doing as they say. So, obviously some teachers abuse the power, some teachers don't. We can't say that everyone out there is, perfect and doing the right thing, but I aim to do the right thing and empower people.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great start. I appreciate you. And that's a great reminder for everyone, to just understand those things. And for you, though, to take that into this side of your chapter, that's invaluable, as they say. So when there were moments when, and I've got it tattooed in my head, your attitude and your demeanor towards how you competed and the coaching angle, so let me put it in this side of things, combination sets. Let's just talk on that side of it, and fitness and health and nutrition and well-being. And was that an influential part of something that you needed from a coaching angle? Because I can guarantee that all the experience that you have now, you're going to be instilling that to so many, correct?
Absolutely. It's interesting because when I was in my career, I didn't really have someone teaching me as much as this combination, that combination 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 10, or the whole alphabet, or breaking it down. It was just like, okay, this is a punch, this is a cross, this is a kick. Let's get to the training, kick the bag, kick the pads. Okay, if you're lucky enough, you might have had some higher level training. You might have gone to Thailand and got taught some little small little intricate kind of movements or some clinch stuff, where you might have had a good school and a good teacher that spent the time doing that. But the reality of it is that it was just the old school, I guess, way of training was you learn the moves and then you just go and do it. Just keep practicing. And therefore, as I've stepped into a teacher role, especially, the past 6 years since I retired, or 7 years now since my last fight, and I spent those 6 years of those really sort of focusing on doing seminars and coaching, and then moving to America, teaching, fighters, and then just doing private lessons, and now back again teaching in a class environment, and also seminars coming up. And what I'm teaching in my classes is the truth of it is, what I'm teaching in the classes is they're not even ready for it, because it's so advanced and it's so exciting, but I break it down and make it look so simple, but it's actually very complicated, because it's actually quite high intelligent movements. But I don't really care, because I want to teach from that platform, because that's where I'm at. So if you're going to be with me, you're just going to have to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had
Yeah.
like 61-year-old students coming to me and said, "Oh, I want to train." I'm like, "Okay, let's go." And I make them doing 7-punch combination, 8-punch combinations, and I'll break it down to a 1 or 2-punch combination. Doesn't really matter. I just
Yeah.
make people catch up to the speed that I'm at right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I call that standards. I call that, you have a standard. You have, and
I
I
have a
put my hands
standard,
like,
yes.
yeah, I have that. I explain it to my students in a way, and I'm sure you know. There's average, then
Yeah.
there's a standard, and then there's and I'll just gesture it respectfully. Then there's Nathan Carnage Corbett standard. So where do you want to play?
Yes.
Do you want to play? Do you want to come
Yeah.
play with me, or do you want to just hang out?
That's a great way to put it, because I said that tonight. I said, well, honest truth is maybe you don't understand everything I'm teaching, even though it looks simple, but that's okay. This is very high level world championship kind of intention and intensity, but just do it.
Yeah. Also, they just say, also,
just do it.
You said a couple of words there, old school, when you were coming through, and that's why I'm passionate about this angle of talking to people like yourself and so many others that have experienced the actual, athlete side, sport side of either MMA, Muay Thai, and Kyokushin and so forth, because that old school keeps to slide into lads in I turned 40, you're in your early 40s as well, where our teachers or those before us knew one way as such, that hard way, that strong way, that physical way. And then they instill lads, I'm not even putting myself in your bracket, but they instill lads that now we're now having to pass it on. And you hear this old school slide in, but then you've got new school, or where do you start seeing yourself in combining what you've, been so fortunate, across, it's just endless, your CV, to see what you've taken from various people or fighters, or, where are you seeing yourself in that conversation?
Yeah, it's a very good question, because, I often sit and think about, what do I want to be as a teacher,
Right,
and
right.
what do I allow and what do I not allow, and do I be very strict, and do I make people call me sensei, or do I just let them call me mate, or bro or buddy or whatever, where's the line, especially when you're involved in kickboxing and fitness, and it's not quite the discipline with the gi and the karate and the lining and the bowing. They don't really get it all. So it's like, now you're in this kickboxing sort of state where everyone just sweats and there's no real etiquette, and I sort of was like, well, I'm kind of not okay with that. So just recently I sort of reversed the whole role. I was like, okay, people only know what they know, so I can't be upset at them because they don't know. So now it's my time to now educate them. And so going to the old school, I feel like I'm using old school traditions, and I'm now modernizing the style, because actually I've got a Bruce Lee shirt on right now.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can see it.
And it's one of the Ruka did a collaboration with Bruce Lee, so it's pretty cool. But so I don't necessarily teach like traditional old school, say, karate movement, but I take the fire elements from karate. I take the discipline from karate. I take the honor from karate. I take the chi and the life force from karate, and I put it into. I made a post the other day, and I said, I'm not a Muay Thai fighter. I'm not a kickboxer. I'm not a karate fighter. I just fight. I'm a striker. I just choose to fight in the rules of Muay Thai. So, so when I said that, what I'm basically saying is that, yes, I fought Muay Thai for my whole fight career, and I was famous as a Muay Thai fighter. But if you look at me, I'm not really traditional stylist. I have some of the moves, but I don't stand and do that what everyone else would do. So it's like, yeah, well, what am I? It's like, okay, well, it is Muay Thai, but I've even gone past that, where I'm now developing a new shirt and a new logo, and it's going to be called Carnage Strike. It's going to be called Carnage Striking.
Mad.
Because it's an element now that I'm moving into the teacher role. I'm moving into developing this whole system around who I am and what I believe in, and the movements I've learned, and then I can really make it into a kind of unique but yet modern and old system. So so the modern style of fighting is like, I know what works in a Muay Thai arena, because it's a combat sport at the highest level. So I know what works, I know what doesn't work. So I've got that element, and then I've got the element from like I spoke about before, which is those other elements. And I'm now bringing them two together and creating Carnage striking.
Yeah, that's
It's
cool.
not, it's actually not Muay Thai.
Yes, I understand.
It isn't, but yet it looks like Muay Thai because that's really the flavor of it, because that's what the rule set is that I train to compete for.
Yeah. I use the word platform, coach. You know, platform. That's a platform, and now you're fortunate with so much knowledge, expertise, and then in molding it into what you is. And just to give you some something that Shian Cameron Quinn would say on one of his interviews with Sosai when he interpreted for Sosai, they said, "What's the side of Kyokushin? You know, where do you see the Kyokushin side?" And he said, "Well, there's Cameron Kyokushin, Pat Kyokushin, Nathan Kyokushin. There is different types of Kyokushin. There is not going to be just one type of it." And I can feel that in the way you're explaining, you know, that Muay Thai angle. There's your platform now, which has just, you know, so much credit and invaluable experience that, you know, you're putting it out there, and well done to you. I hope that goes really well. Look out for that, everyone. That's going to be mad.
Yes, exactly true. I mean, I had that thought the other day, and I thought, I woke up, I was in Arizona, and it was this amazing place called Sedona. It's a magical place. They have like crystal vortexes and all these beautiful hikes. And I was out there, and I woke up in the morning, and I had this thought of like, oh, I'm a master. I'm like, what? I'm like, you're a master. I'm like, what? What do you mean I'm not a master? Because I'm not a master of Muay Thai, because I actually don't know half of what the Muay Thai moves. Like,
Really?
honestly, don't know half of the techniques that they use in Thailand, the best Thai boxers use. I don't even know, but I can beat them all. Well, when I was fighting, I could.
I hear you.
So it's like, but I know how to fight. You know what I mean? So I don't know. So I'm not a master of Muay Thai yet. I was a secondary black belt in karate, but I'm still now not a master of karate either anymore. So it's like, but I had that feeling like I'm a master. I'm like, a master of what? And I went, I'm a master of my own system.
Hell yeah.
Without being cheesy and saying I'm creating my own Muay Thai system.
That's I feel you.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm doing. I'm not even going to promote myself as a master, because that's not what I'm here to do. But I just was like, I'm a master of my own way of doing things.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Wow, because that's very unique. So then I just started to live from that energy and creating this whole being around that person. So that's just the Carnage system, really. So
no, that's cool. I appreciate you sharing that, because there you have it. You know, there's a moment that's you know, again, with that hat on now, you know, your time and energy is no longer that savage / Carnage who was, you know, so focused on becoming world champion and excessive, you know, wins and just a machine in just body and spirit and so forth. And now I just use it nice in that way, that the different hat comes on, and there's just it just goes, as they say, you know, your fight career will be X amount, and then there's so much more after that. Is that what you're feeling as well?
You know, it really is, because on last Saturday, I actually was teaching a class, and it was just like a light drills class. And at the end of the class, I said, oh, well, let's just spar, like light sparring, no mouth guards, no groin guards. It's just touching each other. You don't want to hit each other hard, just touch, you know?
Sure.
And there was an odd number, and I haven't sparred in like 2 or 3 years. I had surgery 8 months ago. I haven't done anything for 3 years. I didn't spar before that for 2 years. So I barely sparred since I stopped fighting. So I'm like, okay, let's spar. So then I was just like sparring with the students, and because it was relaxed, they weren't like, you know, killers or anything like that. It was just so much fun. I was enjoying the movement. I was enjoying sparring. Nice. It was enjoyable. And then I sparred with one young kid who's super talented. You know, he's like Mexican kid. He's super talented, really good boxer. Like had 4 fights, professional fights. Like had amateur fights. Like he's good. And like I started to get into the sparring, all of a sudden we're sparring, and it was like we sparred like a 4-minute round because I couldn't stop because I was just so excited to be back in there, enjoying it, doing it. And then I just realized, like at that time I was like, okay, this is just fun. Like I just enjoy being the teacher now. So I kind of shifted from like, okay, I'm Carnage, the savage killing machine. It has to train like, you know, 6 days a week, and I haven't done that for 7 years, and be that person. So like I'm 41 years old. Like I don't need to be that person anymore. I can be whoever I want to be. You know what I mean? I've already done it. So if I'm sparring you at 41 years of age and you're 25 years old and you can't beat me, that's a problem.
Hey.
Where before I used to think, if I don't beat this 25-year-old world champion, I'm shit.
Yeah,
Carnage
yeah.
is dead. Now I'm like, let's
Sure.
be real. Like, I don't even train. So if you can't beat me and you're primed, this is a problem for you, not me.
Yeah, man.
I just shifted into this like world,
Yes.
going, you know what? I don't need to be the killer anymore. I still am, and I still got a lot of energy, and most people still won't be able to get close to me. That's the truth. It's really only the peak at the cut.
Yep. Nice.
The really top of the mountain, the peak.
Yeah.
They're the only ones going to lay a glove on me. I'm going to be around still anyway because I'm still good. But it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the icing on the cake anymore.
Very good, very well said. And the point in that, and from my side of it is, in teaching my students, they're heavy. I've got 3 heavyweights in my dojo, which is amazing, blessed, very lucky, high-end guys. Now, I show them a tactic of just the shoulder, a shoulder punch or some technique. And as I'm talking it, then they do it to me. Bang! And I'm like, oh, fuck's sake, geez. Ease up, bro. And you give them your nuggets and you give them your little tips and tricks, and then they do it on you. And you just said it then in that way. You're not expected now to smash and maul these young bucks, but they're still going to need to see that if they're not beating you or beating what a level, back to that, what a level to achieve or attain to for them as well.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to get in there and punch on, and get, hit in the brain and knocked around and stuff like that, because I'm not preparing for that. But I just come to a different place in my life where I'm like, I'm going to get good again. Don't worry, because my hips are healing and I'm going to be dangerous. But it doesn't matter either way. That's the difference. Like, before, it mattered to me that it mattered, but now it doesn't matter. So now I'm just going to be, now I'm just free. Now I'm just like, let's go. Like, that's cool.
Coach, what are you seeing out there, in the last 7 years? And of course, in you gesturing, your body now finally getting its chance to repair itself over these last, 4, 5, 6, 7 years and so forth across all different parts. Now, what are you seeing, or what's something you're feeling that's an education part, a coaching part that there should be more attention on, or that you are focusing on a little bit more on for students or things for the next year or two?
Well, you can question and self-doubt yourself. Like, I was thinking about the other day, because, I'm training at this weight training gym and it's full of like bodybuilders and people that want to look pretty, so like their diets are impeccable. And it made me think about how bad my diet is and how bad my diet was when I was fighting. And I realized when I was fighting, I didn't have a diet. I just knew that when I was getting close to a fight, I couldn't eat a pizza. And I had to cut a few kilos, but other than that, I didn't really have a diet. I knew that eggs was good. I knew that, protein was good, and I knew that vegetables was good, but I didn't really know what these people know. So then I'm thinking, oh man, like I just ate food, and I probably was under eating all the time. Like I probably under eat now. And I was thinking about it. I was thinking, okay. So while that was happening and I wasn't eating all that food, okay, could I have recovered at 35 and kept fighting, and my nervous system maybe didn't burn itself out if I eat better? Or did it not matter because it's got nothing to do with food, even though food's everything as well? It's got to do with the mindset and the spirit that actually makes you who you are. So I think it's important. If you can have both, well, you're a double threat, right? So I think it's important to have, impeccable diet, impeccable eating, look after the human body as a system, as you would a vehicle. If you're going to put good fuel in a vehicle to race on, the Grand Prix, you need to do the same thing. But where I see a lack of power is really just that conviction of like, it don't matter because I'm winning anyway.
I get that. Yeah, so, man. I love that last time you mentioned. Yeah. No, there's no fucking around here. I'm going in and I'm not going to lose. That's it. This is that mindset.
The other night. Like the other night, I was teaching a class, and some of the class had already done a class before, so they were warm, and some of them were fresh, so they weren't warm. I'm like, well, do you need to warm up? Oh yeah, we'll warm up a bit. I said, okay, let me ask you a question. If I said to you right now to jump in that ring and the fight's going to start now. How are you going to go? Oh, well, probably not good because, I'm cold and I've got to warm up. I said, that's the problem. I'm not saying you shouldn't warm up and look after your body because we've got to train for the next 20 years like this, and you should, do with a massage, do all those things. My point here is saying this. If you already think you need to warm up, you're already lost.
Yep.
The fact is you need to just pull the trigger and that's it, the fight's on, and then find the win no matter what. So you've already lost before you even started from that mindset of I need to spend half an hour to warm up to get myself ready. So I'm always tricking their minds and making them think,
I'm smiling because I say you got to flick a switch and you got to flick it quickly. You got to flick that switch if you're not used to.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Well, if we think about martial arts, let's go back to the root of martial arts. Was for self-defense, right? It wasn't for sport. It wasn't for, going to kill someone for no reason. It was for self-defense, right? So when you're walking along and all of a sudden someone attacks you, you haven't warmed up. You just got to fight. Of course, as a sport, it's different. It's sport, so you got to look after yourself, that kind of stuff. So warming up is important for those who are listening, and taking care of your body is important for those who are listening, and taking care in the way of eating right, and sleeping and massaging, resting, and listening to your body and all those things is important if you want a longevity in a fight sport career or any martial art career or any sport. However, it's about never allowing yourself to say, oh, I just couldn't fire up. I was just cold.
Yeah. We have, and our other saying here, other saying is that I grew up with my master, with Shian Billy, is, and he was being nice to us in this manner, was be 90% ready. 90% ready for anything, 90% being in a fighting or in a tournament scenario, which was his way of saying, mate, you got to be ready. If I call you up, and the saying where Sosoyama brought in Kancho Matsui and called him into the office, and this is a story, and for those out there that have got a different version, here's my version, is Sosai said to Kancho Matsui, can you do it? And Kancho Matsui is saying, I'm sorry, I beg your pardon, what are we talking about here? He's like, can you do the 100-man kumite? And the 100-man kumite was, a massive thing in Kyokushin, and he's like,
yes.
Okay, we're on, and what a challenge that was set there. But the mindset of Sosai had everyone shitting their pants in a way of not knowing what would be next, what challenge he would put to them.
But they just had to flick the switch and do it anyway. Yeah, it's so good.
Coach,
I mean, one of the sad things is, that these icons, are very far in between now. You don't really get these kind of like, iconic, like powerful icons that are like, idols to many people for so long. And, I was just thinking, like, because when I had this shirt, and it was like Bruce Lee would have been like 80 years old or something like that. And I just sort of imagine what it would have been like, to have someone like that still on this planet versus like a YouTuber that's a dickhead that is someone's icon. You know what I mean? Like, it's like,
I hear you.
You know what I'm saying? So it's it's very hard to find, this uniqueness, and we've got to keep this flame alive. We've got to keep this tradition. And even though, like you said, it's your Kyokushin and someone else's Kyokushin, there's still traditions to that, the heart of it, which is the soul of it.
The spirit.
Which is always going to be the same, the spirit. Exactly.
Yeah. And in you gesturing that fired me up a bit, because it's gentlemen like yourself that have yes, we have those forefathers, I call them, that have been before us, and then there's gentlemen like yourself that have been through it and seen it and been a part of it and gone through that system, those years, that we're so fortunate, glories and all these amazing parts of the world where you've competed and seen traditions and values, and that's the beautiful part of having a chat with you and you sharing what you're doing now, because that's a cool thing. You've got the credit to now go, hey, hold on a sec, and that's why I love talking to you on this angle, because you now can share so much with so many, and it's invaluable.
Yeah, I've definitely got, a lot to share, and always happy to share knowledge for any of those people that ask.
Yeah. So, your Carnage system now, can I tap into a little bit of this train of thought on the angle that
Yes.
you seeing this conversation, or this system / or where you're heading with it as more of a sport, because you can cover sport, you can cover self-defense, you can cover some cool, pillars here of the martial art way. How are you putting it? Are you splitting it in a sport focus, control, or are you putting it into a self-defense? Where are you putting your eggs in your basket as such with what you're going to put out there for the next, you're 40, for the next, so long?
Yeah, like the first project is going to be the elbow striking system, which is really, I guess, more for, professional fighting, competitive fighting. Of course, any of the elbows, any of the strikes can be used in self-defense. It just won't be talked about on the self-defense, side. It's more for like the competitor, for the enthusiast, for those who love martial arts that want to grow their striking abilities. So it'll be, I guess, geared towards how people would have seen me do it in the fight arena, in the professional ring.
Yeah.
And pretty much what I had to do was, like, over the last, few years of teaching so many seminars, I had to, because when I first started teaching seminars, I wasn't even sure what I was going to teach, because what I did in my fights wasn't something that someone taught me.
Sure.
Therefore, I had to go teach someone what someone had handed down to me. Like when I was a black belt, second degree black belt, all those techniques were handed down from my teacher's teacher to him to me. And it was a syllabus, and I knew everything, every kata, every weapon, every wrenchu, every move, every weapon kata. I knew it all from to Z.
Gotcha.
So therefore it was passed down to me that way. And obviously I had my flair on it, but when I taught the kata, it was still done perfectly as the kata should be, with the name of the kata. So then my fight career, that was never taught to me like that. Some schools and some teachers, have teachers that do teach them these kind of systems. In the Dutch kickboxing, they have their own Dutch kickboxing systems. I didn't have that. I had some teachers that showed me some techniques along the way, but it wasn't programmed into a system.
Gotcha.
So it was really individualized for everyone. It wasn't a system. So then when I finished fighting, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to teach? So I just went and taught what I thought was good. And over, 130 seminars later, and, travel around the world, I was like, okay, well, I might put this into an actual system on how you, and the system is written in a way and taught in a way that sort of gives you the ideas of my mind, like how my mind would have thought without even writing it down. So now I have to write it down and go, okay, this technique. So if I go with this elbow, this opportunity is going to create this. And if I go with this elbow, this is going to create this. And if I go with this elbow, if I go with this punch, this elbow, that's going to happen. And a lot of those things, and a lot of those things, and the good thing about it is it's all my content has been proven in real battle. So I know for a fact that it's not just making up a system of movements because they look cool. Like you see some people holding pads, it looks cool. I'm like, no. I could do everything that I'm going to put in my system. I could actually do it on you today in a real sparring situation. I could do it today in a real fight. I could do it tomorrow. It doesn't really matter. I know I can do it. Some of the moves I haven't necessarily done the way I'm teaching it, because I'm like, I've advanced actually since I stopped fighting. I've actually advanced since I stopped fighting even more. So I didn't stop fighting in 2014 and then stop learning. I stopped learning from other people, but I started learning about myself, and I started advancing my own self. So over 6 years, I'm actually better today, technically, than I was when I finished fighting. I'm just not the same physical person because I don't train, 20 hours a week. So actual fact, what you're going to get today is actually in way more detail, way more like high skill than it was, when I was doing it. But because I did do it in real battle, I can draw from that and know it's real.
You know what came to my mind when you just said that? I think sharper. You're even sharper than what you were. So you were sharp as one of the best ever with it. And now you've polished it and polished it and polished it and refined it to an even scarier level.
And even just understood how I could have even done more damage to people if I just got even more into the elbows. I could have done even more damage. I kind of gave people, actually let people off.
Shit.
you were lucky.
Yeah, that's
lucky
right.
I didn't know what I know now.
Some are there like looking at this with like their half their, eye socket still fractured from the carnage, but they're very thankful.
A few stitches, a few scars later.
Oh, well, that's cool for you to share that. I took a lot out of that.
Look, so I wanted to, it's in the first one that I film, we'll have a lot of everything in there, but it's going to evolve again. It's going to change. It's going to be something I can't add all in one video and one series. There'll be more series. There'll be more series coming over the time, but it's really just me trying to put my expression of elbow fighting onto paper for someone else to maybe be able to embody that themselves.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. The other side of it was with when I thought of you just saying the way it'll evolve and we're 2021 now. In 1964, the Kyokushin as such, and even the other forefathers had their books, the books, and there was photographs and pictures and the books, and everyone had to, even with kata, when I was coming through late 90s, was here's the kata book, and you'd flick to a certain page and you'd have to go through it. How are you seeing, that side of, again, more so for Muay Thai for yourself and striking from what it was to what it is and what it's going to be?
I mean, that's it. I mean, you look at some of the young fighters now, they're just super talented. They're super ahead. Like I see some 16-year-olds, that'll, were better than me ever. Technically, like I'm like, this kid's 16. They're doing moves better than I did when I was a world champion. But it's like, okay, it's one element. It's only one element. Sure. Doesn't mean you can actually win a world title. But it's like it's super advanced. You only have to have a look at mixed martial arts, how much that's advanced from like this, kind of like bar brawling style, really, to like this phenomenal like strikers in submission artists and wrestlers in one thing. So you can only see it there. So it's across the board, really. I mean, the only sad thing about Muay Thai in Australia, at least, is that they don't have the big names and the big promotions anymore. So like there's a lot of talent, but they're only doing a lot of small kind of like sort of low-key amateur shows. They have a few good shows still running, but it's not like it was in that golden era, which I want to say, which was from like 2000 to 2012 was kind of like the golden era, it was all the big names, with all the superstars, all the big promotions, Fox Sports, Michael Chiavello, Mark Castanetti, calling the fights, like, it was a blessed time. No,
that's a good point, and again, the evolution side of it, and is there anything that's challenged you or that you're seeing is a challenge? And if it is a challenge, that might not be the right word for someone like yourself, but that you see your coaching or your strategy, or are you seeing more tacticals? Are you seeing more strategy? Are you seeing an avenue here that you've like gone, fuck, I haven't even. I'm gonna try. And you don't need to reveal all your secrets, but if you're putting it out there, it's just to see how the evolving side of you as a teacher now, as a coach, how you're trying to. Are you watching? Are you being mentored? Are you seeing something else from another style, from something else that's made you think twice about what you're doing?
Well, I mean, not so much looking for like, that's why when I woke up in the morning, I was like, I am a master. I was like, okay, well, so now I'm not really like seeking outside of myself, and looking necessarily for like the other things, because then I'm trying to, which necessarily is not a bad thing. I could definitely learn more. I'm not closed off to being open to learning from someone else, but what I'm recognizing is the more that I just trust in what I already know, it's amazing how much knowledge just starts to come from the back of the library. It just starts to come out. Because I've been doing this since I was 14. I'm 41.
Sure.
I've been doing martial arts since then, and Thai boxing. Had a 15-year fight career, and like I said, I've traveled around the world, seen different things. So it's yeah, it's not really.
It's come from all those years. It's like your library.
Yes.
I think what you've just said, and if I'm correct, your library has finally opened up because you've got a bit more clarity and you know where you're heading yourself. So then all of a sudden, all the years, the 20, 30 plus years have just gone,
Yeah.
and all these things are coming within your vision, your views.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly what's been happening. And, the
Gotcha.
last 18 months, because I had my double hip replacement, it really put me in a place of, vulnerability and self-doubt because, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't kick. I still can't kick 100% yet. Like I'm still only like 60%, and I will get there. I'll get there. I'll be 100% soon enough.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'm gaining the confidence in having that confidence, and I know it's coming back. And as it comes back, because I'm like standing there wanting to pull the trigger and I can't do the trigger. So then I started to, I was feeling a bit vulnerable in myself. So as everything's starting to align, everything's starting to come back, everything's coming on board. I know where I'm at, know my purpose, know my passion, know what I'm going to do, know my direction. It's just like a floodgate, it's just come in. And I could watch someone else's technique, and I can adapt that technique instantly because I know how to apply something. That's the difference between myself and a lot of people is they might know the technique, but they don't know how to applicate. They don't know the true application of it. So after being a professional fighter for, all those years and having so many fights, I know I could look at someone's technique, take their technique, grab that technique, and I know I could apply it to true application to real situation because of the ability that I've had by doing it, because teaching a movement is cool and it looks good, and I'm not necessarily doesn't everyone have to master that, because a lot of good coaches out there that aren't a master of actual doing it, but they're a master of teaching it. That's cool too. I feel like for myself, where I have the blessing is that I've got both. I've got both.
I hear you. Very good.
Because of that time, of that time under tension, the time in the fire for all those years.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, no, that's cool. That's good to hear, because that's the threat. That's the next level. That's the cool bit about it. And, we're already 45 in, Coach. So I hope you can, you're all good for another 5 or so minutes, because I appreciate it.
No problem.
That's how quick and in depth it can get, mate. And that's why I love it, because you've got so much to share, which is amazing, and can't thank you enough. In summarizing a bit of this, what's cool about what's happening here is you're only 41. And I say that respectfully. You're 41, and what's it's a cool part of what's ahead. Where you're fit, you're getting your body back to normal, and your confidence in everything is going to just scare the shit out of everyone pretty soon, which is pretty cool.
You're right. This is very true. I'm getting scary again.
And so how I guess, like in a respectful way, your standards are so high. And again, in a standard of, what you've been through, what you've seen, you're not just picking it out of the fucking air. You're not just having a punt on it. That is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
How are you managing how this is going to be such a high standard, like Bruce Lee was, like all these, forefathers? How do you see everyone trying to attain this, and what's a message for many out there that haven't had the fortune of being an 11-time Muay Thai champ, haven't traveled the world, but it's such a thing now that I'm trying to share with the listeners out there. There's people like you out there. They've got this standard. They're allowing you to come and play, come and join me. Let's see where you're at. How is that going to be I think that's going to be a very tough thing, but it's something that you've got in you to help others get to that point. Where do you see that?
Yeah, like pretty much like, the essence of my teaching, like the essence that I really portray and want people to grasp and feel and connect with is really just that spirit of confidence, of power, of just that belief And that's what I like to instill in people. So I bring them from the level of like my world champion, savagery mindset of like win, 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 and this high level of like energy and explosion and speed and aggression and power. But I understand where they're at. I understand that they're not me and they'll never be me in some cases, and some will be better than me, possibly as well. Right. And but most of the people that I come across are just people that just want to be better themselves. So that's the thing that I don't get lost in. I'm not, at a fight gym in Thailand, being a top pad holder in Thailand, and I've just got 20 fighters trying to be champions. Yeah. That's not what that's not my life. I'm actually not really even trying to be a fight trainer to train a stable of champions, because I don't really want to hold pads. I don't really want to hold pads all day long. Sure. I've already been there, done that. So I'm just, my job is that's why I'm excited about filming all my content, is because I want the whole world to be exposed to the energy and exposed to lessons. But my teachings, even though you've got to learn the physical teachings of the movement, because it's so fun and it's exciting, and it adds the truth to what I'm talking about.
Yes.
If I just talk about theory, then I slap you in the face, all of a sudden the theory is real.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between me. I can talk theory, I can talk philosophy, I can talk, all these kind of spiritual things or energy, and then bang, hit you, boom, boom, boom. And you're like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, now you better believe me, right? Because I'm talking about, that's kind of really the biggest direction for me in the future going forward. As much as I physically want to be like amazing and do all those cool things with my body, I really want to just cut the air with that samurai sword. But it's really just for the mind. It's just if you think about Bruce Lee.
Yes.
Any time I hear him talking about his philosophy, they're the things I remember. Be like water, I don't remember his sidekick. I do remember it, but I don't remember his 1-inch punch. I do remember it, but I'm really be like water.
Yeah, you've embodied that energy. You've embodied that energy. There's a
it's
level of event.
Like Musashi, the samurai warrior. You know what I mean? It's like you probably wouldn't even know how he fought. You couldn't even mimic his fight, but you would remember his attitude.
Yeah.
I can't make. I know that I can't make anyone. I know I can't make anyone elbow like me in the sense of exactly like me or be me, because they're not me. But I can certainly pass that belief system on and that energy on that creates them to be the best that they can be, whatever it is.
Woo. I love it. Fantastic. Look at that, people. How cool is that? 11-time Muay Thai World Champion, one of the best ever in the game. Carnage coach, thank you so much, Sensei, and all these angles, because that's your knowledge that you have, and I respect you immensely. I appreciate it. I reached out to you again. You just flicked the switch for me, and we got it done again. So I respect you immensely. Keep up the fantastic work, and if there's anything else you want to share with anyone else out there, the floor's yours for a minute or so. Go for it. No problem at all.
No, I'm just, always happy to be on and help out and be a part of the martial art community that gave to me so much. So love to give back, of course, in the future when my film is done, the marketing will be done. You'll see my product out there online. You won't miss it.
Well, Nicholas Pettis passes on his thoughts. He said this man needs to be respected a lot more. And, I hope I can put that out there, and all power to you, Carnage, and keep up the great work. A big us to you. Thanks to all the listeners out there. I'm sure you got a lot out of that. What an honor and a pleasure to talk to a gentleman like this. A big us to everyone. Thank you once again, Carnage, for your time.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Make sure you keep in touch with Nathan's social medias and all his pages. There's just so much wealth of knowledge that he's just drip feeding for everyone out there. Well done to you all. Take care. Keep training hard. Big us.